Hi, I'm Michael Bean, and this is your myfreeactingclass.com lesson for Monday, August the 24th. I know I'm a little bit behind on uploading the videos, and so I'm gonna upload them basically after I'm done teaching this today. And then if you missed any of the lessons last week, there was a fantastic lesson with stunt coordinator Richard, what was his name? Richard Bradshaw. And then Liz McLaughlin doing voice work. Um, Liz, um, sounds like she did some really interesting stuff with you. I'm hoping that she'll come back this week. She said that y'all requested American dialect and Dothraki, which was hilarious. Like somebody's a huge Game of Thrones fan, and they were like, "Yeah, we need Dothraki." Okay, great, cool, you do you. The I don't have Michelle's voiceover. It looks like she made some kind of error in taping that, or maybe she got it on her computer and I can get it from her. But we've also got Amy Farrington, the actress who's based in Los Angeles, who talked to us last Friday. So all those coming up soon. I like this thing that I've done a couple of times lately of starting with somebody else's wisdom, and going from there. So I'm going to start with a clip from Bryan Cranston, and maybe you've all seen this before, but I really like this little one. Here it is. It's from the him at the Oscars back in 2013. Now, Bryan Cranston was the actor on Breaking Bad, very successful actor, based out of the States.
Best advice for fellow actors is this: know what your job is. About 18 years ago, I had this conversation that I realized I was going into auditions trying to get a job, and that simply wasn't what I was doing. It wasn't what I'm supposed to be doing. An actor is supposed to create a compelling, interesting character that serves the text. You present it in the environment where your audition happens, and then you walk away, and that's it. Everything else is out of your control, so don't even think of it. Don't focus on that. You're not going there to get a job. You're going there to present what you do. You act, and there it is. You walk away. And there's power in that. There's confidence in that. And it's also saying, I can only do so much. And then the decision of who might get a job is so out of your control that it really, when you analyze it, it makes no sense to hold on to that. That, to me, was a breakthrough. And once I adapted that philosophy, I never looked back. And I've never been busier in my life than once I grabbed onto that. That's it. Well,
Right. So there's Bryan Cranston, little piece of acting advice, from somebody who's been extremely successful. Boils down to know what your job is. Your job is to create a compelling character and then go in and show them what you do. And I just love what he said. He said, there's power in that. There's confidence in that. If as actors we are going in as storytellers, then let's go in and show that off. Let's do that with every one of our self-tapes. Something that came up, like about a little over a week ago, was this idea of me giving you a practice scene. So I'm going to give you a practice scene today, and if I get enough people who record this, and send me a copy of it, just basically send me a link to a Vimeo video with the password if you want it to be private. Send me a link to a YouTube video and put like a alphanumeric string on it. Like, it doesn't have to be your name if you don't want anybody to ever find it. But either email me the actual video clip, at info@myfreeactingclass.com, or just email me the link to yours. So that's my email is super straightforward, easy to remember, info@myfreeactingclass.com. And then here is the scene that I picked out. So I wanted to pick something that anybody who is in the in the class could do. And so this is a scene between a 12-year-old girl, and it's written between a 12-year-old girl and I think the other girl is supposed to be 17 or 18, but there's nothing that stops Amy in this scene. So actor challenge scene. Boom, there it is. There's nothing that stops Amy from being an adult. So I was like, I wanted something Deborah could play. I wanted something that Candy could play. I want something that Kevin could play. Basically you've got a 12-year-old girl named Georgie, and you'll get the context that you need from the scene, except possibly that Georgie is a runaway. She's a runaway and she's been living there on the horse ranch with them. This is from the CBC show Heartland. I've got a bunch of scripts because they did a bunch of casting, here, and so I've got a bunch of scripts from way back. And this aired so long ago, nobody's going to be fussed that I'm putting it out there for the world. So pick up the scene, and if you want an emotional challenge, record Georgie, especially if you're a younger person. If you are either in your late teens or an adult, then the challenge is to record Amy, where you don't get to be as volatile, but you have to react to all of these things that are happening. And what I would love is to get these from you by Sunday. So this coming Sunday, which is August 30th. At the latest, so that I can find a time next week, to use the lesson, to go over them in detail. And so I will remind you repeatedly. I'll throw it out there at the beginning of next lesson and the next one and the next one. So you're like, okay, stop talking about it. Fine, I'll record the thing. But remember the Ira Glass video that we saw, which is there's always a period when you start where your taste is better than your output. And the way to get through that is to create a huge volume of work and to make yourself accountable to someone outside yourself. So can you tolerate the discomfort of doing the scene, recording it at home, even though it's not going to be perfect, even though the audio is not going to be exactly the way you want it, or the lighting is maybe not exactly the way you want it, but can you just do it anyway? So that in the process you can, by doing it and by fully going all the way into it, you can see the parts of it that do work, because that's where it's useful. Is you do the scene and then you're like, wow, that one chunk in the middle, that was super alive. Like, what was that? How did that feel? How did I get there? I want to do more of that. Whereas if you've got your critical brain on right from the beginning, it's really hard to do the artist work and be inside of it. Okay, let me pull up the scene for today and we'll do something fun. And then if we've got time afterwards, I will continue to show you the How Do I Get a Talent Agent document that I started showing you on Friday, and I'll send you that link again, and we can go through some of that, because Christina asked a great question that I didn't have a chance to answer because I was too busy talking to Amy. I was like, here's talent agents and here's where you find them, and she was like, but what do I say? And I was like, it's in PDF. Like, if you actually just have read the PDF since I talked to you last, the answers are in there, but maybe I can go over them and answer questions. All right. Here is the little scene that I want to go over today, and haven't done this in a while, so maybe first what I will do is just quickly review Eyeline, Eyelight, frame, and lighting. And so we've got only a couple of people have their video on today. The eye line is the imaginary line between your eyes and what you're looking at, and I will continue to say it until everybody's so sick of it that they actually do it. Basically, as long as I ask one of you to demo and you don't do it, I'm like, cool, well, I guess I got to keep telling them. I got to tell them again. Your eye line needs to be very close to camera, at the same height as the camera, not lower so that everybody you're talking to is a midget, not higher so that everybody you're talking to is a giant, but at the same level as the camera, approximately. The camera needs to be approximately level to your eyes, because if the camera is up and shooting down on me, then you get all this extra forehead, and again, and the angle's kind of weird. And if I'm above the camera, then you get all this extra chin, and the angle's kind of weird, and you don't get as much eye light. So Very important, camera's level with your eyes, and the eye line is just one side of the camera or just the other side of the camera. Now, if you're on Zoom, you have to be a little creative. You basically have to position the Zoom window so that the little teeny picture that's at the very top of your Zoom screen is on one side of the camera. Because often, for instance, if I put myself here in the middle and I'm looking in the middle, it's going to look like I'm looking right into the lens. Because I'm looking right in the center. Now, if I put myself all the way on the side, maybe that works. And maybe it's the eye line's a little too low and I have to, instead look up at this corner. And then my other eye line is just the other side of the camera. So it's like, here I have this very clear relationship with this person. Like, please understand me. I'm talking to you. And leave me alone. I have a totally different emotional relationship with the person on this side of the camera. And it's super clear because I can go back and forth and my eyes go this side of the screen, that side of the screen. Some acting teachers will say, never cross the lens. And I just think that's lazy. Honestly, I think that when you're on set, it's going to be required that you are able to cross the lens without looking into the camera. So start practicing now because it is so effective in terms of storytelling to have one relationship on this side of the camera and the other relationship on this side of the camera. Eyes on this side of the screen, eyes on that side of the screen. Not all the way over here because, my ears are pretty. I like them, but they don't tell you anything about how I'm feeling. Gotta see your eyeballs as close to camera as possible, and in this medium close-up. The closer you are to camera, the more people will see of this light reflecting your eyes. They'll be like, oh, I feel like I know what Michael Biehn is thinking. And you don't. It's all your imagination, but that's what we're taking advantage of, right? You want to look into somebody's eyes and be like, I feel like I can see their soul and I know what they're thinking. You don't have to do all of that. Ben Cotton, who we interviewed here a couple of months ago, was just like the most wonderful, soulful actor. At one point said to me, he's like, yeah, sometimes in the close-up, I'll just like do my grocery list in my head. I just go over like onions, tomatoes, right? So that his eyes are moving a little bit and there's just like something going on in there. And I'm just like, and he can get away with that because he's been on camera so much that he's, his eyes aren't going to like do anything crazy. But I was like, I love that, right? They just need to see that something is going on inside. And if you're in a medium close-up, they're going to see that better. So Eyeline, Eyelight. There's a light reflected in my eyes. Let's look quickly at Moira's video because she doesn't have an eyelight. She's backlit. There's a light beside and behind her. She would never want to set up for recording this way. For a Zoom class, of course, it's fine. Don't get self-conscious, Moira. I'm just using you as an example because you left your video on. Thank you for that. But you see how there's no light reflected in her eyes, and so doesn't look the same kind of alive. If we look at Christina's video, she got a light reflected in her eyes. She's got a nice neutral background. If we look at Deborah's video, she's got a light reflected in her eyes. She's got a nice neutral background. Right? Deborah, I've said this to you a couple of times, and I know that you're still like sort of figuring out the technology, but if you are recording, probably want to record not with whatever device you're using for Zoom. We probably want to record with a phone because then you might get a better color. In Zoom, just because of your computer, it wasn't made to be a camera device, and so it doesn't have an amazing white balance, and so I've seen you in person. You're definitely not this yellow in real life. So that's Eyelight, is the imaginary, or Eyeline is what the imaginary line between your eyes. And what you're looking at, Eyelight is the light reflected in your eyes. All right, so we got a couple of other examples here. Reese is backlit. There's light behind her, so she's like, oh, so there's not very much eye light. If she, ideally, she would want to find a spot in her house somewhere where there was a window and then a piece of blank wall behind, on the other side of the window. So like a big window and then a piece of blank wall here. So she could be close to the window, but there was blank wall. And I've done some like creative moving around in people's houses when I'm, we're recording a Zoom audition where I'm like, hey, let's roam around, because it doesn't matter how much of a mess everything else is. If that one chunk of wall behind you is blank, nobody has to know how crazy the rest of everything is, right? Yeah, I vividly remember recording with a client, Sophie, and she had to be like, we'd shoot a scene, one take of the scene, and then she'd like lean down the hallway and yell to her brothers, "I'm recording! Guys, shut up!" And then come back, and the dog would start barking. It's like, nobody knows that stuff. They're just going to watch the tape and be like, wow, so professional. They never need to know the stuff that's happening in between. One of the traps as an actor is to be like, oh, I'll take it seriously when I have a fully professional setup. You know what? It not only is it not necessary, it is actor mind taffy. That's like oh, I'll be able to focus when, and you know what? When you get that thing, the bar will just move. You're like, oh, well, I'll be able to do it then. Oh, and then I have to get it. And then I have to, you know what? Just start practicing now. Just start practicing now, like with what you got. Like you have everything you need. If you show up at this class, you've got everything you need. Like literally, you've got a camera on your device because you're here. All right, so that's probably enough. So that's frame, medium close up, just armpits to just the top of your head. Not this, not this, not this. And if you wanted to be really extra, just like a little bit extra fancy, and you're like, okay, I got all that stuff, Michael Bean, I want to be a little bit extra fancy. Then if I'm looking at Christina and I'm talking to Christina, then I scooch just a little bit this way so that I'm giving what's called nose room. Just a little bit off center in the direction I'm talking to. Now, if I do it the other way, it's weird. Because now I'm scooshed, everything's scooshed on this side of the screen. It's not impossibly weird, but that's just a little extra fancy. It's called nose room. Ooh. So we get a little something extra every time. Let's pull up this little micro scene from something called Weapon. Now Reese and Christina, you'll be able to demo for me, if you want today. It's one line. You can do it sitting down. So no need to stand up and reset your camera. Anybody else who wants to demo this one, it's tricky. Like it's written for a young girl, but really it could be anybody. Because the scene is like her trapped underneath something, and that's actually what's written into the audition. And of course, you're not going to be able to be trapped under an ATV, while doing an audition room, in an audition room, or in a recording, or even if you have that option at home, don't do that. That's really extreme. So here we go. Weapon. I don't know anything about this project. It was something from the depths of my archive that I grabbed here. So let me close this window because I'm getting noise from outside. Let me get some volunteers. So hey, Reese, you want to read Young Girl for me? Good, so you're going to unmute yourself. And Artie, do you want to read Artie, do you want to read The Mother? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Right. Okay, good. And Christina, there's like 4 characters in this micro scene. Christina, you can read Lindsay. And Moira, do you want to read, what's this last character's name? Stacy? Okay, let's do it. Here we go. Isaac stays focused, dead set on the lights in front of them. A man with a mission. He makes They reach the incline and look down. The light shines up on their faces. Not far below them is a pair of all-terrain vehicles. One is parked with its headlights pointed to a second ATV, which is flipped on its side. A young girl, 11, in a helmet is pinned under it. She's crying.
Stacy, don't move. I got some people here to help you, baby.
The 3 of them scramble down the incline. Lindsay in the lead. She runs over to Stacy and kneels down next to her. Through the visor in Stacy's helmet, we can see that her eyes are literally soaked with tears. The ATV is bearing down her chest, crushing her lungs.
Stacy!
And so here's something interesting. Young girl, because we don't know her name yet, she's listed as young girl. If you're reading the scene, you've got to know that mother says Stacy, young girl. Oh, okay, so the girl's name is Stacy. So that means that young girl actually and Stacy are the same. I didn't read this carefully enough before going in. Sorry, whoever I cast as Stacy, there is no Stacy. My bad. Reese, this is you.
Stacy, my name is Lindsay. Just relax. Don't try to talk. Just nod or shake your head.
Stacy nods.
Sorry. Everything's gonna be okay, all right? How old are you? Stacy? 12? 13?
Stacy shakes her head. No.
She just turned 11.
Lindsay gives the mother a dirty look, then looks back at Stacy. Now, why the dirty look? Who knows? And not super relevant if you're going out for a young girl, right? You don't need to take that in. And so what we've got, is you've got one line up here, mom, it hurts, I can't breathe, and then you've got an when somebody says your name, So if we're just playing today, the line is, oops, the line is mom. Oh, to get the punctuation right. Some people care passionately about punctuation. I think it's good to play with, and then if you find a delivery that's kind of more your own, then you do that. So your one line is mom, it hurts, I can't breathe, and then when I say the line Stacy, you say Now, if you really want to get fancy, then what you do is you put the mom on one side, mom, it hurts, I can't breathe, and then Lindsay, the person who you have a different emotional relationship with, who's going to save you, hopefully, from being crushed underneath this thing, you put her on the other side of the camera. Does that make sense? Right? And good, and then I know I'm going to practice with one of you and you're going to forget, and I'm going to have to remind you, and everybody's going to be like, why does that person forget? And then I'm going to remind you that, like, of course, right now, because we're not looking at you, it's fine. Your brain works 100%. And as soon as people are looking at you, just like, ah! And you get excited and you're going to forget some. So if you have to be crushed by an ATV in your audition, how do you think you're going to pull that off? Yeah, which is like, maybe like this, and that's interesting, Reese. I actually never thought about that, but like, what if you got one arm like up out of frame? Yeah, and then maybe got closer to camera. Yeah. So like, I wouldn't have thought to do that, but actually, if you totally commit to it, it works. So let's spotlight. No, let's get you to do that with your arms, there, and stay there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good, exactly. And then just totally commit to it. Stand by and action.
I can't. Sorry, I forgot one.
That's so good. So that's and you see here how good it was. And then she was like, I don't know, it feels weird, I have to stop. Actors always do that. It's that level of uncertainty where you're like, I'm really not sure what I'm doing. This can't possibly be interesting to watch. But remember, your characters are never sure what they're doing. And so as an actor, your genuine uncertainty, you actually being not sure of how it's going, fascinating to watch and very right for the character. So if you can, no matter what, just don't break character. If the line comes out wrong, keep going. If you say the wrong thing, just keep going. Exactly. Because what you want to project in the room is like, yeah, I'm an artist. I'm human. I'm allowed to get it wrong. Especially because we're in a culture of like, you have to get it exactly right or it's worthless. And so every time you go in and you're like, I defy you expectations. I get that you want me to be perfect, but like, defiance. I think you're doing good things, for yourself as an artist, and then like taking that with you out into the world. So squish yourself up. Cool. I've never seen it like this before, but I quite like this. And she must feel super weird, but it looks great to us. Stand by, and I've just got to do, make this a little smaller for myself, and action.
Mom, it hurts. Can't breathe, Mom.
Stacy, don't move. I got some people here to help you, baby. Stacy, and then just eyes to the other side of the camera. Stacy, my name's Lindsay. Just relax. Don't talk, or just nod or shake your head. Everything's gonna be okay, all right? How old are you, Stacy? She's 12 or 13? She just turned 11. Cut. Right? And that's the whole scene. That's her being crushed. Right? And remember, she's actually doing this. So like super weird in terms of what she's doing, but it looks great. Okay, so that's option one. If you have to be crushed by an ATV, let's see another option. Like Christine, you want to be crushed by an ATV? Okay. You have a wall behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because Reese doesn't have a wall, let's use your wall. So squish yourself back against the wall. No idea what you just said, but
it's like.
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, good. Now here, you want to try something that's like a little bit sort of tricky and interesting? Stand up Yeah, but don't adjust the camera. Don't leave the camera exactly where it is, because you're going to stand up, you're going to go to the back wall, and you're going to squish the chair in front of you.
Wait,
Right? So you're going to go behind the chair, and you're going to scooch down a little bit, and you're going to squish the chair up against you, as though it's crushing your chest. Okay, exactly. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pull on it, like you're going to pull it closer to you. You like right, so to actually kind of crush yourself with it a little bit. Yeah, exactly, because then we'll get that grimace without you having to make the grimace. It'll actually be uncomfortable. And of course, if we were doing this for a while, we'd move the camera closer to keep it medium close up. But like just start squishing, squish, 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 squish. Good, and just stay in it. See if you can lose the smile. I know that you're having fun, but like just exactly like just if you can make it actually slightly painful, that's perfect, and just lean into the part of it that's actually uncomfortable. Stand by and action.
Mom, it hurts. I can't breathe.
Stacy, don't move. I got some people here to help, baby. Stacy, Stacy, my name's Lindsay. Just relax. Don't try to talk. Just nod or shake your head. Everything's gonna be okay, right? How old are you, Stacy? 12, 13? She just turned 11. Huh. And see how effective that is? And she remembered to have the eye lines on the other side of the camera. So great. Another good example. Something that feels super weird to her, of course, because she's squished behind a chair, at home, by her wall. But like two ways that we could tell that story. Okay, I didn't get it all to the how to find a talent agent document, which makes sense. I think I always plan, one or possibly three more things than I can accomplish in an hour, which is totally normal for me. What are some, so maybe those are like the only two demos we'll do today, but what are some other ways that you could do this like squished under an ATV? Any thoughts? Yeah, right, good, right. You could use a pillow like that, Reese, totally. Like you could use a physical thing that's there close by. Okay, what else might work? Right, you could, if you had a corner near where you were, or if you could set up your camera, you could like squish yourself up to the side of the frame and do that. And then you'd probably want to have like this side of the eyeline here be like private experience, and then most of the eyeline would be over there because you'd want that nose room. That might work. Right, you could wrap your arms tight around yourself, like if you didn't have a wall or anything, and you could just give yourself that compression here, right? Because the whole trick for anything that requires resistance is that you can give yourself that resistance. We've done that in these scenes enough times that hopefully it's starting to become intuitive that, if somebody grabs your hand, then you can grab your own hand. If you're supposed to grab somebody else's hand, you can grab yourself. So the idea is just that when you're resisting, your muscles go, and that's the thing that affects your voice. That's the thing that affects your performance. And then you don't have to go like, oh no, I'm being crushed. Oh, I have to do all this work with my voice to pretend. I sound kind of fake. Instead, I can just pull really hard here and let that affect my voice. Right? I mean, don't hurt yourself, but ooh, actually, okay. And maybe you'll find a scene like this. Ooh, okay. Moira, you want to try something? Or Ariane, do either of you want to try something that like we haven't seen yet? Okay, so what if we decided that the being crushed wasn't as important? So just tilt your camera down so we're not seeing quite as much space over your head, Moira, so that we can see you a little bit better. And this one's a little bit uncomfortable. So like, please feel free, to say, no, I don't want to do that. But something that I learned a couple of years ago is that in the brain, physical pain and emotional pain register in exactly the same way. So if you've got a scene where you are supposed to like start in tears, and you're like, I don't know how to access that. One way to do it is to like start by actually putting yourself in substantial physical discomfort, not harm, but just you basically use physical pain as an into it. So when I do this exercise for myself, which I've done occasionally with scenes, you take a thumb and you find a soft spot, here in your abdomen, and you just dig it in, like just press hard, really hard, like hard enough for it to really like hurt and be uncomfortable. right? So it's similar to the squishing where you're like actually causing yourself pain. Okay, and then from that place, and just breathe into it because you actually want more of that horrible feeling. Push, 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 and then from that place, say the first line. Action.
Mom, it hurts.
Great. Yeah, and then just do less with it. Because right now you're articulating it so much, you don't sound like a film and TV actor. You don't sound, believable. So it's good. I believe that you were having an experience in your body. But now just say the words. Okay, it's push, 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 push. Give yourself that uncomfortable feeling, and just make sound. And this I would do if we were coaching it in person. Right. So first, just go just make sound. Just make sound. I know it's uncomfortable. You're doing great. Just go No, really, actually, just make sound. Go Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good. And smile, which means that you're like actually feeling something. Now, see if you can instead. The smile's really normal. That's your body's way of going like, nothing bad's happening. I'm fine. But if you actually want more discomfort, if you want to tell a story about somebody in deep discomfort, then what you've got to do is soften into it if you can. And just remind yourself that like you're an actor, so you're insane and you're trying to make yourself uncomfortable on purpose, and it will all be fine afterwards. So just make the sound. Press that thumb into your good, and then action. Action. Give me the line.
Mom, it hurts.
Great, right? And so you can see that we hit the limit of her tolerance for discomfort. I would say that not only is the smile not proof that something is wrong, but in this case, the smile is proof that she's doing something that's at her edge. And that the more practice she gets, the more she'll be able to do that thing, feel that thing, and not unconsciously make it go away, which is what the smile is. The smile is like, it's fine, and it's great. Of course, like we need that in the whole rest of our lives when like awkward, horrible, strange things happen. But it's only when we're being actors and being slightly insane that we want to be like, wait, I want to feel uncomfortable and I want to lean into the discomfort on purpose. I want to be more uncertain. I want to be more uncomfortable. So it's just something to practice, and look for that smile, and I would say see it as evidence, that you're at your edge, and that's where the growth is most likely to happen. Okay, that's just a smidge over 4 o'clock. Deborah, I may not have time to fully answer your question, but please feel free to ask it.
I just want to know if I'm going to be calling my mom at my age.
I don't know, maybe be like, Mom, it'd be more like spiritual, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for a great lesson, friends. I will see you tomorrow at 3:30. I hope some of that was useful. I'm gonna get those videos up online right now. Maybe I'll just like not write elaborate descriptions. Sometimes like it's so silly, but the reason that I am slow getting them up is because like I want to write a whole paragraph of like, this is what it is, and I want to make it sound cool. And it's like sometimes writing that paragraph is effortful enough, that it takes me too long. We just do one scene. Yes, the scene. RT, the scene that I put up there, the Amy and Georgie one, it's just 2 pages and just 1 take, please. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
My pleasure.